Hey y'all, so I am going to be doing a very controversial video today, but also probably the video I am most excited to film so far in my booktube career, which is the worst books I have read in 2018. I saw people doing this last year, just around this time obviously, and I was so obsessed with watching them. I loved it. I thought it was so much fun just to see what other people's opinions were, and so many people actually had some of my favorite books of all time and their worst, and hearing their thoughts and their opinions about it was just so fascinating to me. So I really wanted to film a video like this. So I have read almost 100 books so far this year. I intend on making it over 100, but right now it's Christmas Eve. It's December 24th. I know I still have a few days until the end of the year, and that could, I could read really bad books from then on, but if I do, I'll just mention it in next year's video, I guess. We're gonna get started. We do have a few books that are, actually a lot of these are very, very popular books, and if I do say that I really didn't like one of your favorite books, I'm obviously not trying to personally hurt you. I don't know why these disclaimers need to be said, because to me it's just a given, but I guess every single video I've ever watched, people disclaim that. So I'm saying I am so sorry if I list one of your favorite books of all time in this video, but it's just my opinion, it's just a thought. Anyways, so I think that's all I need to say. Yeah, and the reason I wanted to say that I am filming this before the year is actually over is because I'm going to donate these books to the library, and then if we do that before the end of the year, it gets written off on our taxes. So I do need to do this. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start with the two books that I just DNF'd this year. I only DNF'd two, which is pretty good, I think, and I hate DNFing books, but I could not get through these books. The first one, which is going to be such a surprise, is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I DNF'd this because it was just frankly so boring to me, and I loved Leah in the first book, Salmon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, which this is crazy. I'm just going to go ahead and give y'all a spoiler alert. Salmon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda is in my favorite books of 2018. So for me to have not only this book in the worst books of 2018, but the fact that I DNF'd it, that's pretty crazy. But that is just how, to me, drastically different everything was in this book. Leah, I really liked her in the first one, like I said, but in this one, she was just so boring to me. And I couldn't get into it. And I honestly just flipped to the end to see who she ended up with, because for I think I read like maybe 60-70% of this book, and I could, or maybe not even that much, I can't remember, but I couldn't even figure out who her love interest was. And I was like, I want to know who she's into, I want some sort of a story. And then I was almost just disappointed in who she was going to end up with, just because of, I don't know, you guys would understand if you read Salmon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda and then this. But I mean, the representation is good, as with all Becky Albertalli books. All of them have wonderful representation, but overall this book just was a dud for me, and it was boring, and I could not bring myself to finish this book. So I'm sorry, but I couldn't get through it, and I absolutely couldn't. Sorry y'all, my mama called me. So I was just ending on saying that I thought this book was boring and kind of a dud, and yeah, I just did not like it. The next book that I'm going to mention that I DNF'd this year, which is also another very popular book, and this is also an author that I read one of his books before I read this book, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I'll mention that here in a second. But this book is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. This was another book that was so boring to me. It was so slow. I was trying so hard to get through it, and I got pretty far in this book as well, and I could not bring myself to finish it. It was just, I don't know, and the characters even, they're not very memorable. I couldn't even tell you these characters' names. I couldn't even really tell you anything interesting about this book, other than I just know that they're two men who are best friends and they fell in love, and one of them dies. That's not a spoiler, that's in the synopsis. And the other guy, I guess the guy who died, got a new boyfriend, and then the ex-boyfriend is talking to the guy's new boyfriend. They're all at his funeral and everything. Like, that sounds confusing, what I just said. I'm not doing a very good job describing it, but it was all just so, and I did not like the main character. I can't even remember his name. Griffin. Griffin is his name. I did not like him. I thought he was very, very rude and mean, and I don't know, I just didn't like him very much. So, and I was trying to, but I just didn't. Throughout the whole book, I did not find anything enjoyable about him. So yeah, but also ended up DNFing this, and I'm very sad because this was one of my most anticipated books to read this year. I heard so many good things about it on BookTube, and I was so excited to read it. I thought this was going to be like one of my favorites of all time, just because people said how beautiful it was, and I couldn't even get through it. So I was very disappointed. It is what it is. I did like his book, They Both Die at the End. Not my favorite by any means. I honestly don't even remember a lot about it, but I did enjoy it. I was able to get through it. So yeah, but still not my favorite book of all time. I don't know if it's just maybe I'm not into his writing style. I don't know. The next book that I'm going to mention is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. This one, oh my gosh, guys, I'm actually gonna lower my rating, I think, for this. I think it's at a 3 right now, and I think I'm gonna lower it to a 2 because I just didn't like this book. Stephanie Perkins wrote the Anna and the French Kiss series, and I read the first one in that, and that will be talked about in another video. This was supposed to be like her way, like it was her first thriller. It was a YA thriller, and that was that. To me, it was all romance with some thriller aspects to it. The scary parts were scary. Like I was definitely like a little like nervous during those parts. They were not the scariest things I've ever read by any means, but it was just, I don't know, I just didn't like it. I was so sad too, because it seemed so interesting to me. It just kind of seemed like the movie Scream to me, but like with a really, really heavy romance in it. It was so heavy on the romance. I was like, this is not a YA romance contemporary. This is a YA thriller. Why is the romance in this so heavy? Like, it was just the main character and her boyfriend making out all the time. They made out all the time. That's all that happened. I was like, what? And I remember in my vlog, I talked about this when I did a reading vlog and read this book and that, and I remember there was this scene that was supposed to be scary. The main character and her boyfriend were making out, and somebody had caught them, had walked in. Stephanie Perkins was trying to make it seem like it was the murderer who was walking in, like the murderer was trying to come in and like kill them or whatever. That's what she was trying to make it seem like. It was so romance heavy that I forgot for a second that that was a thriller, and it didn't even scare me when somebody walked in. I was like, oh, it's just like his brother or something, that's what it was. His brother walking in on them making out, and they're gonna be embarrassed. It was supposed to be like a jump scare type of thing. I would forget that I was reading a thriller. That is how romance heavy this book was. I would literally forget that I was supposed to be like nervous about a scene because it was scary. It wasn't though. It was just a lot of romance, and it was bad. The ending wasn't shocking. It wasn't good. There was nothing great about it. I honestly don't even remember the ending. It was blech. It was blech. Blech. A tip: if you're going to write a thriller, make sure that it's a thriller and not a romance novel. Just a tip. The next book I'm going to mention is The Selection by Kiera Cass. So I already kind of knew I wasn't going to like this, mainly because, sorry, my camera's shaking, by the way. The setup's a little weird. I kind of figured I wouldn't like this because a lot of people compare it to The Bachelor, and I absolutely hate that show. I hate it. I think it's the most ridiculous thing in the entire world, and this was the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. I had a lot of opinions about this. What I mainly do on BookTube is I do reading vlogs, and I vlog about what I'm reading, and this was another book that I vlogged myself reading towards the beginning of the year. And I went into it kind of thinking I was not going to like it, but I was also hoping that maybe I could get surprised and find myself loving it and just kind of like liking like a guilty pleasure read, maybe, like that's what it would turn into. It wasn't. I hated it, and I would laugh my ass off in this book, not because it was funny, but because it was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I did not like it. It's basically about this girl. Her name is America Singer. America Singer is her name, y'all. That's her name. And she is like, enters this competition to win the heart of Prince Maxon, and there's like all these other girls there, and it's so sexist, honestly. And I get that's the point. Like, I think they were trying to point out the sexism, like in The Bachelor itself. There's definitely some sexism in there, but how he can make out with all these girls and do whatever he wants with them. If they even look at a man, they could get killed. So yeah, basically that's the rules. It was just so bad. And I was said in the vlog that I did that I wouldn't mind my daughter or son, if my son wanted to read this, reading it when they were older and understood more about how this is not the right way to fall in love. But if they were like 12 or 13, where their minds are still very delicate and they're very impressionable, I would not want my children reading this at that age. Absolutely not. I would not want them to think this is the right way. So yeah, but it was bad. I didn't like it. I think I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. The next book that I am going to be talking about was such a hyped up book. I felt like it was too hyped up, and that's why I didn't like it. It's one of the first books I think that I read in the year, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I did not like this book at all. I was really excited to read it. I mean, I was excited because everybody was talking about how great it was going to be and how amazing Holly Black was and how dark her books were. And I was so excited. It was not good. Here's the thing. I didn't like the main character, and she wasn't likable, and that's fine. I actually really like characters that aren't likable because to me that makes them more interesting. But there's unlikable characters, and then there's characters that you just can't stand, that you hate. And that's how I feel about this main character. I don't even remember her name. Jude. Jude is her name. And the love interest in this, hated it. It didn't get good until the end, and I will say the ending was pretty damn good. I did like the end. It was very dark. It was the darkness that I was looking forward to, and I really, really wanted that to be more incorporated throughout the entire book, and it just wasn't. It was only like the very last little bit of it. And I also felt it dragged out. Like, I thought the book should have ended at one point, and then there was like 100 pages after this big thing happened, and I was like, this is all just so boring. And then a new romance formed, and I was like, really, really, really? I was just annoyed throughout the whole thing, and I was expecting greatness, and it was below average for me. It just was. And I know the new book, the second book, is coming out in January. I might pick it up just because the ending did save this book for me a little bit. And if I get more of that in the second book, and if I can get past the fact that I really don't like Jude or her love interest or I really don't like any of the characters. There's not one character in this entire book that I enjoy, except one. No, that's a lie. Jude's sister. One of her sisters. I do enjoy her, and I wish the book was more based around her and her girlfriend, but it's based around Jude, and I don't like her very much, so yeah. I might read the second book. I was absolutely not going to read it, but the ending, it was not that bad. The ending, honestly, kind of made me like, maybe I will read the next book. Maybe. So we'll see. I really might. If anything, it would be a good, like, hate read. And yes, I do that sometimes. Like, I'll pick up a book that I know I'm not gonna like just to have a good, fun laugh, honestly, because that's kind of what it is for me. But I might. We'll see. Y'all can see if I do a reading vlog about it, because I will definitely, if I buy that book, I will definitely be doing a reading vlog about continuing on in this. And I think I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I was gonna give it a 1, but like I said, the ending, it was okay. The next book I'm going to talk about, this is the one I'm the most afraid to talk about because it is so popular and because it has touched so many people's hearts, and I am afraid to talk about it. But I did not like this book at all, and that is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I really, really, really didn't like it. I was expecting to love it. It's kind of like history. I was really expecting it to just touch me and touch my soul and make me just feel all like happy and sad and amazing feelings. Like that's what I was expecting, and I was actually really bored, and I did not like the main character, Aristotle. And here's what I feel like would have saved this book for me. If it would have gone back and forth with the narration between Aristotle and Dante, because I loved Dante, I did not like Ari. I did not like him, and he narrated the entire book, and all he knows how to do is complain, whine, bitch, and moan. He never really has a positive outlook on anything, and I'm not a super positive, peppy person, like I'm really not, but he was so negative that it was just kind of like draining for me to read. Like I just felt like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like he made me, I just was so annoyed by him, and I wanted to know more about Dante is who I wanted to know more about and who I liked and gravitated more towards. So that's who I wanted to follow. I found him so much more interesting than Ari, and I don't honestly know why Ari was chosen as the narrator in this when Dante was just such a more interesting and complex character. And he wasn't always happy and peppy. He had times where he was sad, but his emotions, he had like a range of emotions. It wasn't just constantly negative or constantly positive. So that's why I like Dante more. And this was going to also be a 1-star book for me, but I put it to a 2.5 because the ending was fantastic and did make me feel amazing and happy and great. But that was just like maybe 25 pages throughout the whole book. And this is like a 300 and something page book. It's like 360 pages. So it wasn't enough for me to bump it up like really good, like to a 3 or a 4 when the majority of it was not very good to me and just boring. I'm sorry, I just didn't like it, but I wanted to, if that helps. I was hoping I'd love it. I really was. I was like, I pray I love this, and I just didn't. So the next book I'm going to talk about, I have 3 more. One is a graphic novel. The other 2 are just books, but is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Y'all, I loved the first 75% of this book. I read this with my mom in a 24-hour readathon. We read it together. She loved this book. This just shows how people's perspectives can really, how different perspectives can be and how it can make your mind up about a book, basically. So I loved the first 75% of this. I thought for sure this was going to be like one of my new favorite series. The writing is gorgeous. Laini Taylor is a brilliant writer. She honestly is, and I will be reading more of her books. Despite the fact that I did not like this ending at all, her books or her writing style is absolutely amazing. So I will be continue reading her books, just not this series. But the last 25% was not what I wanted to happen at all. I was so mad at the direction it went into. I was mad. I mean, livid. I was like, y'all, in that vlog, if y'all watched that, I was so angry. I was like wanting to chuck the book. I was pissed off. My mama loved it. She was obsessed. She was like, this is what I wanted to happen. I'm so excited. This is good. This is great. And then I was just mad. And I was like, well, I'm really upset about it, and I don't even want to talk about it anymore. So, but Laini Taylor took a risk, and I can really respect that. She did take a big risk in making the ending like this, in my opinion, because I feel like she knew this was gonna be an ending that would make some people really happy, but also piss people off. So I can respect that risk. I really can. I am not trying to disgrace this woman's name because her writing style is amazing. And I honestly feel bad about even putting this in the worst books of 2018 because it is not a bad book by any means. But how I felt about it at the end makes it in the worst for me because I loved it so much. Like that, I was like, nope, I hate it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. My mom actually went on to read the second one, and she got about halfway through, and she's not liking the direction it's going in anymore. So yeah, she's not loving it. She did love it at first, but how it's going, she's not liking it. So, but anyways, I just didn't like it, and I'm sad because I didn't like it. But I will be reading like oh my god, I just moved my thing really bad. I will be reading Strange the Dreamer by her soon. So like I said, love the author, just didn't like the book. And then I'm gonna list the graphic novel that I didn't like, and then I will be saying my absolute least favorite book of the year. This one I'm scared of to say. I really am. It is Saga. I have volume 5 because this was the absolute worst one to me. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The first one, it was okay. I didn't like it that much. I didn't understand why people loved it so much. I didn't get the hop around it. Read the second one. It was okay. Third one, okay. Fourth one, not great. Fifth one, bad. I did not like this one. It was so bad to me. And this is something that not everybody gets mad at, but this is a slur that I do not appreciate at all. There was a slur used in this. It is the word retard. I absolutely cannot stand that word. It really, really, really upsets me. My little brother has autism. He has had that word used against him in a negative way many times. And when people say that word, it's meant in a negative way. Kind of like the word, how when people use the word gay in a really, really negative way, it's not something that anybody needs to be ashamed of, but people for some reason take that word that's a part of them and use it in a nasty, mean way. And that's how this word was used. Retard is, to me, just a vile word that people use to just be mean. And I did not appreciate it. How it was used was very tasteless. And I don't know what gives people the right to think they can say stuff like that. And I don't know why people, I mean, with everything that people get mad about, like how people get mad if you say like certain slurs, rightfully so, by the way, when people get mad at you about people saying bad, negative slurs. I noticed that people do not get very upset when the word retard is used. I don't know why that is. It never gets the same amount of reaction as other slurs do, and it should, because if y'all see my little brother cry after he gets called that in a negative way by a bunch of dumbass kids at his school, then maybe people would see why it can be so bothersome to me. And people who know or have a family member that has like autism or something, and then they get that word used in a negative way. And now like autism is getting used in a bad way. Like I remember I watched a YouTube video a couple weeks ago and somebody was being stupid and somebody goes, oh yeah, that guy is so autistic. Like he's acting autistic. That is so offensive. Like seriously. And the word retard is the same for me too. And I'm sorry I went into a big rant about that, but it bothers me. And it was kind of a nail in the coffin for this for me because I didn't like the series in general. And then that was just like, yep, I'm done. I just did not like this comic series. I really tried to, and it's just not for me. I didn't connect with it. I didn't understand the hop. I didn't understand the story. So it's just not for me, and I will be donating it to people who hopefully will enjoy it better than I will, or better than I did. Now the last book we're gonna talk about, it's just my absolute least favorite, and yeah, we're going to talk about it. The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. I did not like this book. First of all, it is so long. It's way too long. It was just to the point where it was unnecessarily long, and I predicted everything that happened in this book. And yeah, and I actually can relate to the main character quite a bit. She has very severe agoraphobia. I have very mild agoraphobia, but I have been diagnosed with it. But like I said, it's mild. But she has severe, and I did like that aspect of the story. I got to have qualities in this character that I related to and could completely understand her thought process in certain things. And I did like that we got to see her daily life, day to day to day. But it still was too long to me. It dragged out, and like I said, it wasn't surprising to me. There wasn't anything that I had honestly predicted all of the twists in this, and that really upset me. And I don't know, it just wasn't that good to me. Now, I will say that when I read this, I was in severe pain. I have Crohn's disease. If anybody's new, if y'all aren't new, y'all know that I've talked about this plenty of times on my channel. But I was having a really bad Crohn's flare. I was in a lot of pain, and I had not slept for about 2 days. So I'm wondering if the reason I had such strong negative feelings toward this was because of that reason. The fact, oh my God, my dog's barking. Jack, come here. Anyways, I basically am thinking I might reread this. I really might reread this and try to see maybe if the reason I hated it so much was because I hadn't slept in like 2 days. And yeah, maybe that was why. I don't know. I am going to try to maybe reread it and do a vlog about it, like rereading my worst book of the year. So I'm not actually giving this one away yet, because I do want to try to see if my mood had a lot to do with that. And that's kind of like a little experiment I'm doing to see how much your mood can determine your hatred of a book, if it's the book or if it was the mood you were in while you were reading it. So that's just something I'm interested in, and I feel like this is a good book to do that experiment with. So sorry if y'all hear my dog barking, but that is the end of this video. That is all for the worst books of 2018. And honestly, I'm sweating something awful because I'm so nervous about uploading this, but I hope everything's gonna be okay. Hope y'all can respect my opinions. If y'all love these books, I completely respect that, understand it, but hopefully you can understand why I didn't like these books maybe. That is all. I will see y'all in the next videos. I'm gonna do kind of like a 4-part series. I'm doing the most disappointing books of the year, worst, surprising, and best. So next, I think, is going to be surprising, and then we'll do disappointing, and then we'll do the best. That is all, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!